Hello and welcome to Final Fights. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a woman who is currently enjoying some kerbango. It's Megan Hoffmeyer.
Ooh, what would it even taste like? Is it limey?
Yeah, it's a very...
Or is it just, I don't know, is it sweet? Is it acidic? What do we think it tastes like?
I just love that they look like hurricanes in Las Vegas. It's a big cup with very large straws.
And it's glowing. How toxic is it for your inside?
There's a scene where Kerr, played by Forrest Whitaker, thinks he has a one-up on Terl, played by John Travolta. And he's just sitting there sucking on his kerbango, and he goes, kerbango? Like, this real cheeky. And there's also a scene where John Travolta's character Terl is drunk, and he requires 3 kerbangos to go. And he's like, put it on my tab. And the bartender's like, you don't have a tab. He's like, I do now. Like, just, I don't know.
I don't think I'd want to be the one that finally has to reconcile his tab, asking for the money.
Yeah, he wouldn't pay him.
Probably not.
Well, that bartender ends up getting decapitated later, and
you kill him for asking.
And then Travolta's like, "You're friendly bartender." But so I just want to say thank you. The 20th anniversary of Battlefield Earth is coming up. I figured for our Final Fight series, we would talk about the epic final fight between Terl, played by John Travolta, and Jonnie Goodboy Tyler, played by B-Pep, Barry Pepper, aka B-Pep. So
one of the greats.
So if you hear me saying B-Pep, I'm talking about Barry Pepper. So we'll talk about Terl versus Goodboy in this fight. And what I kind of love about...
Such a weird name.
What I love about this fight is that, throughout the film, and, this is based on a book, they kind of covered the first half for this movie. What I like between this is that Terl and Jonnie Goodboy Tyler sort of have this weird relationship where Terl first learns about Goodboy when Goodboy kills one of these cyclos. And they didn't even know that a man animal could work a gun. So Terrell's like, oh, hey, he's kind of smart. And then Terl gets some crap from Home Office, and he realizes he has to stay there longer. And he's kind of pissed off about it, but he also wants to mine gold to make some cash. So he wants to make a deal with Jonnie Goodboy Tyler to train him and to work together so then he can send them out to mine and get him gold. And he does bring back beautiful gold.
Yes.
This is a very odd movie. They go to Fort Knox 1,000 years later. They blow up an entire place with 1,000-year-old airplanes. I mean, this is...
Wait, and what do they do with the gold?
So he just wants money.
It's shiny.
Yeah, he just wants... Well, I mean, Travolta, Terl, he just wants to get the heck off there. I mean, he's a well-trained guy. There's a funny scene where Forrest Whitaker's like, hey, man, you're, trained. But this is a cushy gig. You should enjoy this. And then Terl gets all snotty. He's like, I've been bred since birth to be a leader. So he wants to go back to his planet.
He doesn't want to wear the nose jewelry anymore either, right?
He wants to go somewhere where he can breathe. He wants prestige. But then he finds out that they can get this gold. So he and Kerr work with Jonnie Goodboy Tyler. But in the process, a lot of man animals are killed. He throws them off cliffs thinking they can fly. And what happens is, so how this builds up, right? And what I like about this final fight. This final fight involves about 3 punches, a push, a jump, and an arm explosion. And as you know me, Megan, I'm a big fan of limb loss in cinema. I've written articles about this. Monty Python, The Holy Grail. Yep. I mean, you have Total Recall. I mean, we've done, you and I think, have done a draft where people lose limbs, and then we put it up on Movies, Films, and Flicks Facebook.
Westworld last week.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So you have these, there's a good gag in this film in this fight, but there's a lot of things that's pretty interesting in this fight, and it's that Terl always underestimates the man-animals. Man-animals, not manimals. That sounds like,
Oh, wasn't that an American Ninja Warrior?
Yeah, Manimal. Yeah,
Manimal.
The Manimal. And so, I gotta tell you, Jonnie Goodboy Tyler, Barry Pepper, it's a very athletic performance. He stayed in shape during this movie. He's flipping, running.
Okay.
He does a lot of stuff. All by sideways, because of the Dutch angles in this movie. But what I like
makes it more impressive.
What I like about this final fight is there's a scene in the film where Terl gets leverage on Jonnie Goodboy Tyler. He uses the word leverage a lot in this movie, because he always has to have leverage, Terl, on people. People try to get leverage on him, but the picto cameras and stuff, he gets all the leverage. But at the end, we find out that Terl put this collar on Chrissy, who is, the wife, possible wife-to-be of Goodboy. Puts her on her neck, and he has a detonator.
That's rude.
And he says, I can blow her head off from anywhere on the planet. So you just got to be good to me, or I'm going to blow up Chrissy's head. They end up getting that off of Chrissy's head.
Uh-huh.
They blow up another guy's head, and that's a dramatic scene. Jeez. A lot of music, a lot of screaming. But
I can imagine.
They get it off of her head. And so at the end, at the end of this movie, the big confrontation happens between Terl and Jonnie Goodboy. And what's interesting is, Terrell's calling for a stage 3 alert. He wants all the massive gas drones there's thousands of shock troops ready to come to Earth and wipe them out so that they can keep working because they blew up their dome with 1,000-year-old airplanes. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Now, what I do like is Terl, he's like, so I have the original script in here. I found the script online.
That's cool.
And so, like, there's a scene where, so Corey Mandel's script where Terrell's basically saying, I admire you. Like, he kind of likes him. He thinks he's a rat brain. He's always trying to feed him rat. But he said that he'll make a great piece stuffed on the Academy Alumni Club. So he wants to rip off Goodboy's head, stuff it, and put it on the Academy Alumni Club at the Cyclo home planet. Ew. So they kind of admire each other. This 9-foot-tall alien. Travolta's on 4-foot stilts. Jonnie Goodboy Tyler has great hair. Wonderful hair.
You know, there's a conscious decision in this movie when it comes to hair, and they all have long hair with different forms of braids or dreadlocks or just straight up, you know, fluff and volume. There's a lot going on.
He looks beautiful. And so at this point, when the fight starts, they, like, Johnny tells his guy Mickey with a nuclear bomb, let Terrell turn on the transporter. That transporter delivers the nuclear bomb to the Cyclo planet and blows it up. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of crazy that Terrell's the one who blows up his home planet.
Wah, wah.
But the transportation, so there's a transportation thing that brings people back between planets. They don't have to travel. It's very Star Trek-y. So, you know, they're calling the red alert. All the shock troopers are coming. They're going to gas this entire planet. They're going to kill everybody. And this is what starts the final battle between Johnny and Terrell. Mm-hmm. All right? So Terrell, like in the original script, Johnny slams a knife into Terrell. That doesn't happen. But in this one, there's some punches. He gets knocked down, then he jumps on Terrell, right? And you just have this little scuffle. They're kind of scuffling. You have a little man on a big guy's back. You know, they're fighting. In the script, like, the Cyclos have talons, and he's ripping at Johnny's face. Oh. And it's like this massive bloody, like, he's pressing on his wound, and he's like, the stab wound in Terrell. Yeah. And they're just wiping each other out. They're just, like, grabbing each other's shoulders, knife wounds, and scratching each other. And this is what they originally wrote for the movie. This is not what happened in the movie, because you can't have a man on 4-foot stilts doing all these stunts.
Grappling and rolling around. And
so it becomes this kind of cheeky little fight. But I kind of like that, you know, they're in the script, it's possessed demon, primal rage. Terrell's bigger and stronger, but Johnny's just so fast. They savagely tear at each other with razor-like claws. They're grabbing the wounded shoulder. They wrench Terrell off of him. The victory is short-lived. And so eventually, you know, the teleportation's going to start. They need to get the nuclear bomb. So he's trying to hold Terrell in this fight long enough so his buddy can get the nuclear bomb to the transporter.
So how long would you say the actual fight ended up being versus what they sort of had plotted in the script?
It's about 12 seconds to about 3 minutes in this fight. Because this fight...
That's a big cut.
And so all the strikes are over after about 8 seconds. So they cut out this savage dog fight, and it just becomes, you know, this kind of not a savage dog fight anymore.
Well, they cut out a lot of what I'd assume is CG talons ripping and whatnot.
And what a lot of people about this movie don't know is that this was... So there's a thing called franchise pictures, and they ended up funding Ballistic X for Sever, Driven, Sound of Thunder, movies that just tanked in the theaters and lost a ton of money. But this movie supposedly had an $80 million budget. And the director the cinematographer, the writer, so Roger Christian, we're talking like Mandel, Shapiro, they all said that what happened was they swindled, so Franchise Pictures swindled this German company, Entertainment AG. They said that the budget was $80 million. Oh, wow. And Entertainment was going to pay 47% of the budget. What turns out is the budget was actually about 45. And what happened was Travolta got 12 of that, and then the rest of the money went to franchise. So this movie, the director, Roger Christian, said that overall this movie had a $23 million budget. So everyone calls this an $80 million budget, but this movie had a $23 million budget.
So then you can see why there was such a big cut from the script to what was on the screen.
Exactly, and that's why you had to have the blue hues, all these different colors to kind of make it look better and to hide a lot of stuff.
Sci-fi-y without effects.
Exactly. It had to look grungy. It had to look all this because they had no money. This movie had no money. They said that Travolta put $5 million into this, and his personal chef was cooking for the crew because the food was so bad. That's allegedly. So this final fight was really cut down because of that. But I think the way it plays out, that actually makes sense, because what happens is Johnny jumps on Terrell's back, and during that time, he straps the collar that he got off of Chrissy's neck onto Terrell's arm.
Dun, dun, dun.
And so Terl gets around. Terl puts the gun on Johnny, and Johnny's like, look, I know you're going to kill me, but I have one last request. And Terl goes, I'm afraid you're in no position to be making requests. And Johnny goes, I know, but I'm begging you. With the Gastrone's coming, is there any way to spare one human life? Because you were right about the young lady. You put the collar on. I do know her. She was to be my wife. And then Terl, like a saucy little maniac, and John Travolta's performance goes, thanks for reminding me, rat brain. Then he pulls out his remote. He's like, before you die, you should have the pleasure of knowing what happens to your wife-to-be. It changes in the film. Mm-hmm. And so he's like, you don't want to do that. And then Terrell's like, trust me, I want nothing more.
Oh my gosh.
Terrell presses the button and just blows his arm off in the movie. John Travolta's arm.
But he doesn't notice it.
No, he doesn't notice it. He's a very dumb alien. And he's on a lot of kerbango.
Clearly.
And so he blows his arm off. But you got to watch this. So find this clip. His arm blows off. And in the script, they said that Terrell's in shock. But John Travolta just lifts his arm up and he starts patting. There's no blood, no nothing. Just starts patting where the arm was. And he's like, what happened? There's no pain. It's a non-reaction. So I think John Travolta was trying to pull off shock. But as the AV Club said, though, he looks like a Rastafarian werewolf. So maybe all the prosthetics kept him from moving too much. But yeah, so he gets tricked by a man animal who he hates, who he thinks he has all the leverage on, who's too stupid in his rat brain. His hubris gets his arm blown off. So I kind of like how the whole movie, he just underestimates Jonnie Goodboy, and then he ends up losing his arm.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think they vastly underestimate them the whole movie. And it's a very interesting dynamic because as you said, they think they are so smart. Mm-hmm. Now, I do wonder how they actually wiped out the humans in, 9 minutes?
Oh, in the beginning, in this one, they basically take out, I have no idea. I think they're just so full. So I think when they attacked Earth, they took their whole force.
Okay.
And then this one, they're just like, man, animals, we're fine. They got careless, they got sloppy, and they got wiped out. They're entire. So during this fight, after he gets his arm blown off, this guy goes into another world, right? He goes into their other world, and he blows himself up. So Mickey goes into the other world.
That's a very nice touch. He's crying as he does it. He
goes into the Cycle of Home Planet, and all the cyclos are like, oh, look at this man animal. Hey. And he takes his nuclear bomb and goes boop, boop, boop. And the entire planet, an entire world.
I know, it explodes. I mean, it detonates. It goes full Star Wars lava planet on us.
Cyclo a go-go.
Oh.
You like that?
Yeah.
They get blown. That was bad. But I appreciate you for humoring me. That's why I like you. So I think I just dig that the whole fight was to kind of let Mickey go and blow up all these people. But I like Mickey, so I know I'm going to die. But so are you.
I mean, fair enough at this point.
Yeah. I mean, so he blows up all the cyclos. Terrell, but what's interesting is, after Terrell gets his arm blown off, you just see him in a prison in Fort Knox, which is in pristine.
But it's very poetic, because he wanted gold to take back and be rich, and now he's just surrounded by gold.
Yeah, with one arm.
In a cage.
Tricked by a human.
Not bleeding out, mind you.
They blow off, I'm telling you, guys.
Maybe the bomb, as it blows off, it cauterizes the wound, because it's a bomb. I don't know.
Because, when a guy's head exploded...
alien blood?
When a guy's head exploded earlier, his arm... No one saw his blood anywhere from a head. I've never seen a head explode. But I imagine if a head explodes, gunk's going everywhere.
I mean, the only heads we've seen explode are in Ready or Not.
Oh, yeah, and that went everywhere.
Full goo.
In Pulp Fiction, the head wound, that goo goes everywhere.
Yeah.
So maybe it does just, suck stuff in.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know what it does, but it wipes out his head. I mean, it does a total non-bloody kill. But the reason we're covering this final fight, and the reason I want to talk about it, was just the look on Travolta's face. Just the patting his arm. Like, what? The stunt, because everything's gone. So the entire arm is gone.
Yes.
It's just funny. It's stupid.
I can see how they're trying to pull off shock. It really doesn't appear that way. But I can see how that was the intent.
Yeah. And I just, the whole time he's just saying stupid humans, and then he blows himself up. It just makes me happy.
I mean, I can't stub my toe on the stairs without freaking out, much less lose a limb and not know